Hello, my name is Mrs. Jessica Rosenberg. Today I'm going to be talking to you about morphology. Morphology is the study of how morphemes are combined to form words. What does the research say about morphology? It requires direct and explicit instruction. Morphemes are valuable for decoding, spelling, fluency, and vocabulary, and therefore comprehension. Morphology leads to fluent reading and then leads to comprehension. Teaching students to decode is not enough. Comprehension begins at the word level. Some key terms I'm going to be telling you about today are the following. Morpheme. Parts of words broken up by meaning, the smallest unit of meaning in language, includes prefixes, suffixes, and roots. Free morpheme can stand alone on its own or be combined with other morphemes to make new words, free base, compound words, function words. Bound morpheme. It cannot stand alone as a complete word. It needs other morphemes to make a word, prefixes, suffixes, or bound bases. What's a prefix? A morpheme that comes before a root and contributes to or modifies its meaning. Root. A bound morpheme, usually of Latin origin, that is not a word on its own. It gives a word its principal meaning. Suffixes. An affix attached to the end of a base, root, or stem that changes the meaning and or grammatical function of the word. What are some strategies for morphology in the classroom? You could look at the history and origins of words from Anglo-Saxon, Latin, and Greek origins, word families, and high mileage words. You can introduce with a read aloud. There are a few books that I recommend. One of them is What is a Prefix? Another one is What is a Suffix? They are both by Brian P. Cleary. Another strategy you could use in the classroom is to use drill cards. These are to establish automaticity as students see the now familiar word parts in words. The automaticity leads to accurate decoding and spelling, to fluency, and to vocabulary acquisition and comprehension. A really big strategy to teach morphology is to make it multi-sensory. One can use sticky notes for prefixes, roots, suffixes. You could use blocks or Legos to build new words. You can code and read by having students circle or box the affixes. You can add decodable sentences with suffixes. You could also build words with paper parts. It is important to decode at the sentence and passage levels and check for understanding. One example of how a teacher can teach morphology is the following, which is from the 6 Shifts lesson plan. Step 1, identify the morpheme, its meaning, and where it shows up in words. Step 2, provide examples of words. Think aloud as you use the word parts to define it. Step 3, offer some non-examples in words where it doesn't mean blank. Step 4, let students work in pairs or small groups to apply the new prefix or suffix or affix to a list to figure out their meanings. They can even use the new word in a sentence. Step 5, ask students to fill in closed sentences that have blanks for words from step 2. Differentiation is a big topic. There's many ways one can differentiate. You could use drill packs for each student for visual cards, dependent on what students know for word parts. You can teach chunking in small groups because each set of students will have different needs. You can adjust the content, process, product, and learning environment. Group students according to phonemic skills and code language. Separate phonics and decoding blocks. A few standards that it's connected to are the following from the Connecticut Common Core Standard for English Language Arts. RL 3.4. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, distinguishing literal from non-literal language. RL 3.10. By the end of the year, read and comprehend literature, including stories, dramas, and poetry. At the end of the grades 2 to 3, text complexity band independently and proficiently. RI 2.4. Determine the meaning of words and phrases in a text relevant to a grade 2 topic or subject area. And RI 3.4. Determine the meaning of general academic and domain-specific words and phrases in a text relevant to a grade 3 or subject area. Two other areas I'd like to inform you on are teaching English language learners. You should teach reading, writing, and meaning of sight words, and explicitly teach these meanings. Provide these students with opportunities to listen to, speak, read, and write with high-frequency words, considering different meanings of words and how they are used in different contexts. Another way you can differentiate is with students with language and learning difficulties. Poor phonological awareness is a common characteristic of struggling readers. With repeated practice in the classroom, these students may become more comfortable independently applying this strategy and can use this as a compensatory tool to help overcome their difficulties of reading words based on their sounds. Lastly, breaking down an unfamiliar word into chunks that they understand makes decoding and accessing meaning easier. Thank you for listening to me today talk about morphology.